Good morning. This is Chef Megan here. I want to say hi to all the parents and the students who might be watching. This is the first video that I'm trying, but I want to make sure y'all are eating well and practicing your cooking skills while you're away from school. So the first thing that I want to start with is just some safety tips with regards to the tools that we'll be using. And so the recipe that we're doing today, we're going to be using knives and the stove. At school, third grade and up is able to use the stove, but if your parents are with you and want you to use the stove, that is completely up to y'all. Same with knives. You can decide what your student is capable of, but at school, first graders use a plastic knife like this. Second, third, and fourth graders use like a regular butter knife or a dinner knife. And then from fifth grade on, we are using a chef's knife. So I'm going to use a chef's knife today. But again, it's up to you what kind of tools you want to use at your house. So we are all stuck at home. And if you're like me, you are not really trying to go to the grocery store all that often. So today I'm going to make something that you can make with things that are around your house. I am making this with everything that I found that was already in my fridge, my cabinets, and I have a small garden in the front, so I'm using a little bit from that. But we are going to make fried rice, and so I already had some rice made. If you don't have any cooked rice, you can cook a little bit of rice however you would normally do it, in a rice cooker, in a pot, in an Instapot, however you want to do it. Just make your rice ahead of time. I have some garlic, I have some green onions, a carrot that was just in my veggie drawer, and some celery. I went out to the garden and got a couple of leaves of kale because I think that's good in fried rice, but you can use whatever you want. So if you have baby carrots, you can use baby carrots. If you have a regular onion, if you have frozen peas, a can of corn, anything that you like can go in fried rice. There are no rules about that. So now we're going to get started. We're going to start doing our chopping and make a sauce for our fried rice. Okay, so for this dish, we get to review a lot of our knife chops, our knife cuts. So the first thing that we're going to do is with our celery, we're going to do our slice. So remember, you're going to use your bear claw so that you don't cut your fingers, and we are going to just cut our celery across. Remember, you're using that rocking motion. We're doing ninja cuts. We do not want a woodpecker cut because that can ruin our board, ruin our knife. So we are just rocking back and forth. And remember, when you cut straight across and you're doing a slice, it's going to be the shape of whatever the end of your vegetable is. So right now we're doing celery. So that is our slice. And I'm just going to put that aside and go on to the next one. The next one we're going to do is a dice. So I'm going to cut my carrot in half so it's a little easier to deal with. Then we're going to use that bridge. I'm going to put my knife here, do the bridge over with my hand, cut down. And then that way you have two flat sides and you can put your flat side down so that your carrot's not rolling around while you're trying to cut it. I'm going to cut that end off. And here with our carrot, I'm going to remind you how to do dice. Again, bear claw. We're going to cut a few strips here. And then we're going to cut across. And I don't know if y'all remember what shape a dice is, but it's a square, like as if you were playing dice. It looks like a little square. So we have our slices, we have our dices, and now I'm going to remind you about mince. And does anyone remember what kind of food we usually mince? Garlic. So anytime you see garlic in a recipe, you're usually going to mince it. So first we're going to smash the garlic clove, take the peel off, put that aside, put it in your compost or your trash. We're going to cut off this little end here, and then you can cut it in 1 or 2, 3 pieces, and then we're just going to do that ninja again. We're going to rock back and forth to get the smallest chops possible. And you can do this for as long as you want. You're trying to get it super, super tiny. I generally don't have the patience to do it for very long, but the smaller you can get it, the better. So we're gonna put that aside. And make sure you're keeping your board clean so that everything's not in your way while you're cutting. And then let's see here, ooh, chiffonade. We are gonna use our kale from the garden. I'm first gonna cut off the stem because it's kind of hard and a little more bitter than the rest of the kale. I'm gonna cut that right out. Put that aside again, you don't want your cutting board to be a mess. And then remember with chiffonade, we stack up the leaves. Kind of tear them apart here. And these are pretty small, but you want to roll them up like a burrito, and then you're going to cut across. Again, using that Ninja. And then you end up with these little ribbons. And it's really fun. So if you have some spinach, if you have kale, any herbs that you can roll up like that and cut and practice, that is called a chiffonade. All right, and then the last thing I am gonna chop up for this dish is green onions, and I'm just gonna go back to the slice for that. So cut off a little bit of these ends here. Remember with green onions, you do not want this white part, you just want the light green and green parts. And again, we're gonna slice just straight across. So what shape do you think we're gonna have for our slice with this green onion? You can tell by looking at it that it's gonna be a circle. So look at all those cool green onions. Okay, so I finished chopping all the veggies. Let's see. So we have our carrots, we have our green onions, we have celery, we have kale, and we have garlic. So one ingredient I did forget to mention is an egg. If you don't have an egg, that's fine. I always forget to put the egg in at school, even though I love eggs in my fried rice. So if you have one, we're gonna use that in a little bit. And then before we move on, we're gonna make a little, very simple sauce to put in our fried rice. So, important ingredient is soy sauce. So we're just gonna dump a little bit of this in here, and this is gonna be one of those things that you make it and then you taste it and you decide what you want. So we're gonna put soy sauce, sriracha, many of the kids' favorite ingredient. So we're just gonna put a little bit of that, as much as you want, depending on how spicy you want it to be. And then I'm gonna add just a little splash of rice vinegar. If you don't have this, you can use regular vinegar, you can skip it. Again, this is just what you like. If there's any other sort of ingredient that you like to put in your dishes that you think tastes good, go for it. So I just added a tiny bit of that. Just gonna whisk it up here. And I might have to add more later when we're cooking, we'll see. You can always add another splash of soy sauce. And I'm gonna try it. And I like it a little spicier, so we're gonna add a little more sriracha. All right. So we're gonna put that aside and we are gonna head to the stove. All right, so here we are at the stove. It is super bright in my kitchen right now, so I hope you can see everything okay. But we're just gonna turn on the stove to about medium high. Let it heat up a little bit. I am going to use sesame oil for this because it has that really nice Asian flavor, Asian scent, since we're making fried rice. But you can use olive oil, you can use vegetable oil, whatever you have on hand, it really doesn't matter. So you're just gonna put a little bit of that in there, maybe a tablespoon or two. And again, we're gonna let that heat up and swirl it around your pan. Remember, when we are cooking at the stove, you want to have the hand that you write with is using your spoon or your awesome skull spatula, as the case may be. Your other hand is holding on to this handle. So I may not do that because of the lighting, but you're gonna stir with your writing hand and hold on with the hand that you don't write with. Also, when we are at the stove, we wanna make sure our arm is up, not down like this. We don't wanna get any burns on our arms like chefs often have. and you're making sure your hair is tied back, making sure you don't have any loose clothing on. We just want to be really careful that we're not, burning ourselves or catching anything on fire. So again, this is kind of our stance at the stove. So my pan feels like it's pretty hot. One way you can always check that is to just throw a little piece of vegetable in there and see if it starts to bubble. And mine looks about right. So when you are cooking, you want to start with the things that take longer to cook in your pan first. So for us right now, that is going to be our carrots and our celery. So we're going to put both of those in. And I wish you guys could smell that sesame oil because I know you would love it. It smells really good. Now usually when we add anytime we add vegetables to our pan, we add salt or salt and pepper. Since our sauce is mostly soy sauce, you really don't need to add any salt or pepper right now. Seasoning is always your choice, but I would just hold off, and then at the end, if you feel like you need more salt, you could add it then. But right now, I don't think we really need any salt or pepper. We're just going to cook this for a few minutes. The next thing we're going to add after this cooks is our green onions, our kale, and our garlic. So I'm going to pause this for a sec. Alright, so our carrots and celery have been cooking for just a few minutes now, but I wanted to get back on and remind y'all that what we're doing right here when you cook food in a little bit of oil in a hot pan, that's called sauteing. And for everyone, but especially my 7th graders out there, you should know that when you're sauteing vegetables, you're trying to get them to soften and just turn a little bit brown. What's funny is sauté in French actually means to jump, and my carrots in my pan have been jumping around here more than usual, so I think they're trying to demonstrate that. But, so our carrots are a little bit brown, and everything's getting a little soft. It's probably really hard to see this, but I'll do my best. And so now we are going to add our green onions and our kale, and just get that a little bit soft too. And with sauteing, you want to stir pretty frequently. We don't want anything burning, sticking to the bottom. If you need to adjust your heat, go ahead. So it's usually about medium high, but if things are getting too hot, just turn it down. Stir that up. And then when it looks like your veggies are almost done, like maybe it's going to take 30 seconds or a minute more, then you add your garlic. So garlic has a lot of sugar in it actually, so it'll burn fast. So you want to make sure you're ready to stir and make sure that you only have a little bit of time left when you put your garlic in. Otherwise you're going to have burnt garlic, which 1, does not smell good, and 2, does not taste good. So I think my veggies are just about ready. So I'm going to add this garlic in. And stir it around for about 30 seconds. Now, with our egg that is coming up here, you can crack this into a bowl, stir it up, and then cook it in a separate pan. That's probably what we would do at school. And then after you cook it in a separate pan, you take it out and you add it to your fried rice. I am going to keep it simple today. Less pans to clean, and to me it just it all ends up the same place, so it doesn't really matter. But however you want to do it, cracking and stirring up an egg is a fun job for kids. So if you're doing this, if you're a parent doing this with kids, I probably would take the bowl and stir it up, but for now we are going to just crack it right into the pan. So we're just going to crack it in, And again, you want to start stirring quickly so that it doesn't get all that egg in there, kind of coats your veggies. We're almost done with this. All right, so let's see if you can see. We got our veggies, we got egg in there. You can even add extra egg if you want. And now we're gonna add our rice that we already had cooked. So we're just gonna dump that in there. Stir that around again. And then after that's all stirred around, I'm sorry, it's so hard to see. I'll do a video at a different time of the day tomorrow, or next time. And then you're gonna add your sauce. And I can tell already I'm probably gonna need more sauce. So I'm just gonna drizzle this around, put it in there, stir. And see how it looks. And like I said, you can try it, see if it needs more salt, see if you want to add a little extra spice. I am going to add a little more soy sauce, just a drizzle. And more of that sriracha. So we're gonna add this and stir it around again. And then, the mark of a true good chef, we are going to try our rice. So let's see here. I'm gonna take a bite with some kale in there. Pretty good. So, from beginning to end, I would say that probably took like 15 minutes, 20 minutes maybe. So this is a dish that you can make with if you're a kid with your parents, if you're a parent with your kids. It's super easy, it's super fast, and again, we're just trying to use things that we already have in our cabinets, so we don't have to go out to the store. Miss y'all, hope to see you guys soon. Keep cooking, and I hope you guys are eating good.